On MedTech Crossroads, our focus is often on the creation of new medical technologies, but we're all acutely aware that the bedside is actually where care happens and lives are changed. Sent with Love was born from Jennifer Rice's personal experience walking through pediatric cancer with her son. While grateful for his recovery, Jennifer was struck by how isolating and painful the journey can be, not just for patients, but for their entire families. Behind hospital walls, families become invisible to the outside world. Community ties often fade, and even after treatment ends, re-entry into normal life can be disorienting and lonely. During her own time at Mott Children's Hospital, Jennifer's family was sustained by personalized letters from friends, small but powerful reminders that they were not forgotten. This experience, combined with her own early acts of support for other families, while her son was still undergoing treatment, lit a fire that became Sent with Love. So just 12 days after her son was discharged, Sent with Love sent its first care packages to other families in need. And since then, the organization has grown to encompass several programs. Monthly vetted volunteer teams send personalized, sustained mail to pediatric cancer patients and every member of their immediate families. Programs include Kids for Kids, where children send hope-filled letters to other children, and Sent with Love Day in a Box, which enables groups across the U.S. to host their own card-writing events. Sent with Love also organizes in-person delivery of gifts to patients, siblings, parents, and even nursing staff at 3 hospital sites. One of Jennifer's goals this year is to get Day in a Box programs into every U.S. state. Jennifer Rice, welcome.
Thank you.
So good to have you here.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you.
Jennifer, from our conversation before, one of the things that really struck me is how invisible cancer care families can feel behind hospital walls. That wasn't necessarily your experience, but that's something that you've shared, is how they can just kind of go behind the hospital walls. And it feels like they've disappeared. Can you describe that experience as you've observed it in other families?
Yeah, well, for many of the families that were living on the floor when we were in the hospital for most of 6 months during treatment, and then we go home for very short periods for the counts to come back up, and then we'd be inpatient again. And many of the families, it would only be the mom and the child, and I never saw any siblings visit or anything like that because their child was so, being immunosuppressed. The family, the other members of the family are trying to have some version of normal. They're going to elementary school. They're being exposed to a lot of things, so they can't really bring that into the hospital. It can be dangerous. I mean, it can be even life-threatening. So for many families, it's just the child and the parent for weeks at a time, or even months at a time. So
and you're not necessarily keeping up your other outside of the hospital relationships or things like that as a part of it.
Right. Of course, there's texting and phone calls and that sort of thing. But even that, it doesn't always work in the hospital due to, we actually had to change carriers when we first got
just to get the signal in
just
the,
to get
in the
a signal
hospital.
in the hospital. So within the first week or so, we were just okay, T-Mobile doesn't work. I forget which one we ended up switching to. Because
I wanted to ask you, which one was it?
I actually forget. We've bounced around since then.
Describe for me the kinds of emotional and relational losses that you've seen happen for families, obviously not specific families, but what kinds of relationships that you had in your life disappear sometimes as a result of prolonged treatment?
Well, one of the stories that really inspired, so one of the stories that really inspired this idea of complete strangers reaching out to others is that Haley, who you can see in this picture, she actually we met her and her mom in the hospital. She was having an awful day, and my son was feeling amazing that day, and he was doing magic tricks for anybody who was interested. And my husband ran into her mother, and her mother was telling my husband, she's just not doing good today. she's so sad. And my husband's like, oh, go see my son. He'll do some magic
do
for
some
her.
magic tricks for her.
And they instantly, my son was very happy to do it. It brought her mood up. It was great. We exchanged contact information. Weeks later, after she was discharged, because she was not there for cancer treatment, it was other things, her mother reached out to me and she was like, Jennifer, the side effects for what she's been through have been so hard. And pretty much like nobody feels comfortable dealing with this situation. And we've lost contact with friends and family, just like we feel so alone. It's so hard. And I was like, well, let's pray about that. And by the way, would you be interested in receiving mail from complete strangers? And she was just like, that would be amazing. And so I reached out, we prayed together and then over the phone, and then I reached out and asked our prayer warriors and friends from church, would you be interested in sending a card to encourage this, member, to each member of this family? They were like, got it, we're on it. And that's really, that's when this a lot of the seeds like really started growing for the ministry. If I could back up even before that, one of my friends who spent a lot of time in the hospital, and she was often very isolated herself, she was just like, Jennifer, every week that he's in that your family's in the hospital, I will send a card or care package.
That was to you guys.
And well, it was really going to my son.
Yeah.
But it was very meaningful, and she made it happen. And this was over the course of 6 months of treatment. Every week we were in the hospital, she sent something.
Wow.
Which that's quite an undertaking.
That's quite an undertaking.
And she's she's in a wheelchair. She made it work because she just knew how hard it can be living the hospital life.
And these letters that you guys started receiving from her in particular, tell us just a minute, because when you say, can I put you on a mailing list? My answer would be no, you can't put me on a mailing list. But this is so much more than a mailing list.
It is.
And the nuance of what you're doing that we're going to unpack here in a minute is so caring, and it's so deep across the family, and it's so enduring for during the stay and beyond. But just take us into your mind for a moment. When you received those letters and your family received those letters from the friend who said, I'll send those to you, what was that like? What did it do for you?
So it brings hope into the room. And really our church family, so she sent mail to my son. And that encouraged my heart to see him encouraged. And every once in a while, someone would think to write mail to my daughter, who is also going through this journey. And one friend in particular at our church, Rebecca, she reached out to my daughter, and she sent a care package that revolved around tea, and it had like this cutest little tea leaf holder, and I think it was a hedgehog that went on the side of your cup. It was just pretty and sweet, and just said, I know things are hard, and I just wanted to encourage you today. And that was so powerful. What that did for my daughter to be seen, and the fact that she's hurting too, meant so much to me as a mom. And I had girlfriends that would stop in and say, hey, can we go for a walk around the grounds? I had friends that interacted with me, that texted with me. So I was getting fed, but my daughter was not really. My son had different things that were going on in the hospital where, every once in a while someone would stop by from like Bottomless Toy Chests and say, hey, we were wondering if you'd like to pick a present or have a gift card. We just wanted to encourage you today.
And that's patient focused at that point.
That's very patient focused. But when people recognized that my daughter was going through this, that I was hurting, and then every once in a while someone would think to recognize my husband, that would mean so much. And so that's a very key part of what this ministry does, is we send mail to the whole family. And it's very powerful.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you started, just to show your heart, Jennifer, you started even before you were out of the hospital, you started arranging care for other families in the hospital. And that eventually became It sort of crystallized the idea behind Sent with Love. Tell us just a little bit about what you started doing even before the organization started.
Well, I mentioned Haley's story, of course, but I just started interacting with families to get their contact information and like, I want to send you mail, so it was more like just like doing the groundwork. I didn't know that it was going to become a ministry. I thought it was just going to be me encouraging my friends. But just as my husband saw the passion I had as I was putting these care packages together, I literally had 12 care packages all lined up. I might even be able to locate the photo to give to you, but I had them all lined up, and I asked moms questions about each member of the family, and I tried to shop to each member, and it was. I had such a joy in that my husband was just like, he was very encouraging right from the beginning, and I think that's why it was able to take off the way it did. And then as I told others what I was doing, they were like, "Can I be involved in that? That sounds like so much fun." And we went from 12 families to 25 very fast, and then we just kept jumping up incrementally, but we're at 65 families at the moment, and we're preparing to, as we take on yet a third location that we're serving at, which is going to take place in October. Paley Institute, they have a place like Ronald McDonald House called Quantum House. They do spine and limb extensions and support, and one of my friends, her son was born with a femur that wouldn't grow. And over 18 years, he had 15 surgeries, and now he walks on 2 feet. And they were faced with amputation or these groundbreaking surgeries. And she's like, when she heard my story of what I was doing, she was just like, "Jennifer, these families live at the hospital for months at a time with very painful surgeries. It's very isolating. The whole family is going through this trial, or they have the family members in one place and the child and one parent. They're at the hospital. It's a combination between the two, but it's very hard." And she said, "It would be so good for these families to receive this kind of encouragement. I can't even imagine the hope that it would bring into the space."
To them.
And so we're really excited because by October, we know we're already going to have 75 families that we're actively sending mail to every month as a result of this outreach that is happening.
And that thing that you mentioned, every month, this is not a one-time thing. This isn't a drive-by where it's like, we brought you some gifts one time. Do you remember those people who brought you those gifts back in 2023? This is every month while they're in the hospital, but not just while they're in the hospital.
Right.
Tell us about, why doesn't it end? You get back into society, everything's great, or not?
Right. Because even though treatment has ended, a lot, it's really hard for most people to really grasp. The cancer can cause side effects. The treatment itself can cause side effects. The PTSD that the family's still processing. And so we have families that I met, like one family in particular that I met the last day of treatment, and they're so very thankful that we still send mail to them, and they're 6 years out.
6 years out from discharge.
And they're just like, this mail and what you're doing is so powerful and such an encouragement to our hearts, because they're dealing with lots of other complications that the rest of the world doesn't see, because they're not going, like when she goes to school, the other people don't know what she's going through. So we send mail until the family says, "You know what? We're good. We're doing really great." Wow. And actually, even at that point, we'll say, "Okay, well, can we still send you birthday cards and things like that?" And they're like, "That would be great." So we don't have a cutoff point that we give people. And this box is here because one of the things that we do is we. This is.
I'm secretly hoping she leaves this one with me.
Aw, that would be. Your kids would love that.
I'd love it, actually. I get Legos and
Oh my gosh.
behaviors.
So I will definitely talk more about Lego. I love Lego, but did you know actually that Lego is the top requested gift for pediatric, well, especially for pediatric hospitals, but for hospitals in general.
Really?
Like if you're like, you know what, I want to buy a gift for a stranger that's in the hospital, buy them Lego.
Wow.
It's just they're so fun. The designs, you know, like there's the 3-in-1, like a couple of these packages, well, 3 of them are. It just it makes, it's not only like a form of fidget if there's some sort of movement to the item, but it gives a distraction at a time when there can be great pain going on, or even just waiting for the next painful thing. This, no matter what the age, you know, Duplos for the younger kiddos that can't handle the really small things, but it really does make a difference. And I had kids with tears in their eyes say, thank you for this.
Wow.
This when we delivered 100 care packages at 2 different hospitals. So on July 21st.
That's just this last month that you did this.
Last week.
Last week.
So on July 21st, we delivered 28, actually it was 108. So 28 at Halifax Hospital in Daytona Beach to their pediatric unit, pediatric unit. That was fantastic. And I got to visit some families in their rooms, and then 75 at Mott. And the reason, and this is on the oncology hematology floor where my son was treated, and the reason why it's not just to the patients, you know, that's more than the number of patients that would be there. It's to the siblings, because the siblings, it's very powerful to recognize that the siblings are going through this too. And it means so much. In fact, this picture has Abram and his mom leaving the room after we gave. He picked out his gift, and he practically, like, he was just like, he was so happy. He got a Minecraft set, and he was like, I have a Minecraft like display on the hearth at home. And I did not have this set. So he's very pleased to be able to get this present. I was so excited for him. But after he chose his present, I said, well, do you have any siblings? And he's like, well, yeah, I have 11, 12-year-old sisters. Wow. And mom is nearby saying, yeah, this has been really hard and scary for them. And I was like, well, could we give them a present too? And he was like, oh, are you sure? You know, he's like, I don't need anything. And I could see mom, like, her face is like lightening up, and he was like, wow, okay, you can bless them too. You know, he's just being playful. But we chose 2 bird Lego sets, and it meant so much to mom that she actually posed for us as we were leaving the room. I'm like, can I see the 2 bags on your back? Because she had them on her back while she's directing his pole, and he's there with his crutches. And they were just so thankful to be able to take presents to his sisters. And she said, they're going through this too. And for them to be recognized, this is going to mean so much to them. So this, I digress, which I have a tendency to do. Please excuse me for that. This box is a welcome package. So this would be for a family that loves stuffies. In fact, this is in honor of Goose. Goose passed away, and his name is Joshua. His given name is Joshua, but his nickname is Goose. And one of the things his mom said to me is, and she just loves this ministry so much, she said, Jennifer, all the other support has stopped. We received cards from the nurse team for the first year after he passed away, but Sent with Love is the only one that is still reaching out to us right now. And if you know somebody who loses a loved one, a close loved one, especially a child, please say their name. You know, even if you're just like sharing a memory, like I was just thinking of Joshua today, and I just want you to know you're on my mind. I was just thinking of Lennon today. and you're on my mind. I love you. That's very powerful to be seen while they're going through this, because they're always going to be going through it. 30 years later, they're going to still be going through it.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying Leah's name.
That year afterwards, or a few years too.
Right. So this is in honor of Goose. I was really looking forward to giving it to her in person, actually, with the stuffies for his brothers and sisters. But so we try to we have a very simple questionnaire on our website, a family application under Contact Us. It's we're not asking for a ton of personal information, but it enables us to make our writing tool pages like the one I showed you of Haley. It allows us to make our mail. So we write mail, and we want it to be mail that speaks to them. Are they into horses? Are they into unicorns? Are they into spaceships and flying? This we shop to, and we seek to write cards to minister to where they're at in their life.
So you're finding out this information about the families, and it's not just this form letter where we change the name and this person, we're saying hi to them and reminding them before and after discharge. But you're actually trying to learn something about the family, the patient, the parents, the siblings in the family.
Right.
And so when these cards are written, every one is custom written.
Yes.
With information that's like, oh, this is something that I know is going on in your life. This is something that I can care about you.
Right.
Do you write all these cards yourself?
I don't, thank God. I started out that way, but
it's a lot of cards.
Exactly. It's hundreds now because we have 65 families at the moment, and I have, we try to write to the warrior child, and at least. We try to write to the warrior child and at least one other group or person in the family. So warrior child and mom, warrior child and all the siblings that are at home, warrior child and dad. In the month of June for Father's Day, we send a card to warrior child and to dad. And in fact, one in particular really touched a dad to the point that Kerrigan's father, and his wife reached out and said, I can't tell you how much this card meant to my husband, because I have complicated health and Kerrigan's going through this. And it meant so much to him to have this very meaningful letter that was written by my pastor.
Wow. So,
and I know he prays over each one before he writes it. And she was like, by the way, thank you for including Sawyer. And Sawyer's her 35-year-old brother that we would write like an birthday card, or like our Christmas card or Thanksgiving card. We would include him. We were like, oh, okay, he doesn't need to have mail anymore. He's 35. She's like, oh my goodness, it means so much when you include him. And I'm like, I keep getting affirmations that the siblings need to be included, and it means so much to be seen.
Because they're getting left out because the family's attention is now on the patient, which is appropriate.
Right.
But yet they're not getting the attention either as a family.
Right.
Well, I understand. So you're writing these cards with volunteers. How do you vet volunteers? Because that's like, I know you'd want to write everyone in your own voice if you could.
No. No?
I'd love to get a card from you.
We will make that happen. Honestly, it is. So we invite artists and children of all ages. Even toddlers have been a part. Where the toddler will say the message to write, and mom will write it, and then the toddler will draw the picture to go with the card. And those can be very, very meaningful and special. In fact, we have a program called Kids for Kids, where children are invited to decorate the one side of the envelope, because we send 6x9 envelopes packed with cards to that family. And so, and we try to fit the theme, like Christmas in July. Of course, we did them as Christmassy just for the fun of it. Summery, fall, Thanksgiving, whatever the theme might be. But we invite classrooms to get involved, and even a preschool could really make adorable pictures. They could decorate them with stickers.
So they might be making the art, but someone else is writing the note.
Exactly. So this ministry involves people of all ages. We actually have we've actually had a convalescent home have the seniors who can't write anymore, but they can apply stickers. And they can tape things in. You know, they have that motor skill. And they have prepared hundreds of cards that we've included in our mail, and that's part of our Thanksgiving mail. That's our mail is actually going to feature them this Thanksgiving. But you asked, no, not in my own voice. Actually, on card writing days, I just kind of like managed answering people's questions if they're new to us, that sort of thing. But it actually really blesses families to hear a cacophony of voices
coming at them,
of reaching out and saying, "Hey, I noticed that you have a black lab. I have a black lab too, and his name is Blue, and he just did the silliest thing today." You know, or just hey, I live in Colorado, and I'm just so thrilled to look out at the mountains and write this card to you today. You know, it doesn't take much just to acknowledge that somebody can use a word of encouragement. And by the way, people are like, I can't write to somebody who's going through a really hard thing. I don't know what to say. Just think of it as writing to a friend. And we don't actually talk about any medical things in most situations.
Sure.
There's a few exceptions every once in a while, but this is meant to show love and hope and encouragement in every package they receive from us.
This is bringing the humanity that you've been missing from your society back into the space.
Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, you also mentioned earlier the in-person gift deliveries that you do. You shared some memories from those. Do you have any other favorite memories from in-person gift deliveries?
Well, I've had a few where the child gave me multiple hugs, and Abram in particular, just the other day, he really touched my heart very deeply. I got down on a knee so that I could be close to him as he sat on a couch. His mom was nearby. He pulls out the bag and he reaches in because he could see that there was a letter inside. So he pulls out the letter, and I really wish I could have. I said, "Hold on, can I record this?" Because it was just there was not a dry eye in the room. He read out loud the letter, the short letter I'd written. Just we're seeking to show love and encouragement to you today. You know, that was the essential message. You know that we believe in you. You're a warrior. We're in your court. We'd love to hear from you and be a part of your story. You know, it was a short message, but he, I could tell that he was touched by the letter. And then, bless his heart, he gradually pulled out, he brought out the pieces of candy, started with the smallest things that were in a sack, and he peeks in and he pulls out a fidget toy, and it had lights on it, so he pulls it out of the box and he lights it up, and everyone's like, the suspense. And then he reaches in and shows a Lego, and he kind of rolled his eyes back. He did this blinky happiness thing, and he's like, it's a Minecraft set that I didn't have.
This is the Minecraft set.
And I was just like,
gonna go
oh my gosh, this experience of giving to him, and then also just, then he took time to talk to me about his room and how it has a bear part of he has family members that are into hunting, and mom's has been an amazing fisherwoman, and he's into fishing. So he immediately, it gave us, the door just opened into conversation and relationship because he felt deeply touched by this gift. And I asked questions and wanted to understand who he is. And, it was, I was very choked up and just said, this is why I'm here. It's because of you. And thank you, your time today, and you expressing your appreciation. And hearing your story and knowing that these gifts will encourage you and your sisters means so much to me and helps me keep going as I seek to serve.
The gift is two ways being received, and your vulnerability is also a gift to you.
Right.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Well, you told us about Kids for Kids. Tell us a little bit more about Sent with Love Day in a Box, because you've set an audacious goal. You want Day in a Box in every state by the end of the year.
That would be so incredible.
Let's do it. Okay, so tell us about it. And how can people get involved with that? Also, tell us about it first of all, and then how can they get involved?
Really, if they could just think of just, one or two people that they know in other states. So if they look at our Get Involved page on our website, they see the map with hearts around the country. And those are the states that have received at least one box. So Michigan, of course, has received multiple boxes. Florida has received multiple boxes. Las Vegas, that's where my virtual assistant lives. They've received multiple boxes. And then there's a few other states that have been included. But we would love to cover the country with hearts to represent those writers. And all people have to do is just go to Get Involved and choose Sent with Love Day in a Box. And there's a short questionnaire because we want to know, one of the things you and I talked about before was just that cursive is not taught in schools these days.
This was news to me.
For as long as 10 years, and some schools are not teaching it. Like, they can't read the Founding Fathers documents because, granted, it's a very beautiful, old-fashioned cursive, but I can still read it. But yeah, a lot of us only want to write in cursive. And so those who only want to write in cursive, that needs to go to parents, since even the teenagers likely will not be able to read it.
Wow.
Yeah. And then,
so there's a few instructions that go along with it.
How many cards do you want to write? Maybe you just only want to write 10.
So if somebody wants to get involved and they just want to write 10 cards, they don't have to sign up for a lifetime of card writing. They can come and volunteer for a handful of cards.
Exactly. And really all the supplies they need to personalize their mail are inside. So there's the welcome letter. There's notes about what are some make up a really nice card. Here's some things you might write about. Add a funny joke, maybe a favorite quote. Tell a little story about your pet. That you have. They have a cat and you have a cat. Tell a little story about that your cat did recently. A favorite childhood memory. These types of things make our mail meaningful and special. And then at the end, you put that family's number on the back of the envelope on the lower right corner. And what that does is that makes sure that this card is going to go to the right magnolia, because we have multiple magnolias. It's such a pretty name. We have multiple. I think we have 4 Joshuas. So that's why we had to start the number system, because in the beginning I knew everybody's name, all the siblings and everything. But then as we grew, we're like, oh, okay, we need a system. Exactly. So ideally, there's mail on any given day coming in. And not only is the Warrior Kid receiving mail every single month, because I have a card writing day in my community, Spruce Creek Fly-In. A group of women get together and we write cards and make sure the Warrior Kid gets mail for sure. And then any of those boxes that come in will complement them so we can pack these envelopes with very meaningful mail. And one of the other things, when you go to volunteer, if you can leave the flap open, we actually read our mail, and that's the word vetted, where the word vetted came in earlier. We don't vet our volunteers per se, we vet the mail. And the reason being is every once in a while somebody will write something like, I hope you get better soon, or I'm so sorry your sibling is going through this. But what they don't understand...
It's sincere, but...
Well, not only that, but in a lot of cases, the child is years out from treatment, but there's still a blessing that's happening through our mail, and so they're still on our list. but the focus is on showing love and encouragement.
Yeah.
So those, when someone forgets and doesn't follow the short list of directions, that include please don't write get well soon, then those cards just aren't included. But it's just so fun to see what people come up with. So this actually was written by my niece Ashlyn, and I actually have not read it yet. But I know that I've been thrilled with all the mail that she's written. So she wrote, "Hi, Magnolia. My name is Ashlyn. I thought it was so cool that you like Elsa because she is my favorite Disney princess, too. I picked out this card for you because I thought the animal on the front looks like they would be friends with Elsa." Oh, my goodness. I love your Elsa dresses. So we on her writing tool page, it has pictures of her in different dresses. Those are so cool. I hope you had a good summer, and I also hope you've been able to paint some cool pictures. You seem super fun, Ashlyn, with a smiley face. So, oh my goodness, I can't even wait to mail this to Magnolia and bless her with this joyful mail that Ashlyn created for her.
Wow. So if we want to help Jennifer meet her goal of doing this in all 50 states, I mean, this could be your Saturday morning running club. This could be your work, your office. This could be your motorcycle gang. I mean, I don't know, like any group of people or individual
right
that wants to sign up for a limited number, even or for a long time, but there's no pressure to sign up for a long time.
And actually, I'm sorry you asked that question and I forgot. So like you probably know people in at least 3 different states. At least 3, right?
Yep.
And so if you reached out to each of them and said, "Hey, would you be interested in helping this nonprofit that I really care about reach this goal, because it'll make a difference and bring hope to warrior kid families that have are currently going through a great medical crisis, or they have in the past." And people will be like, "Yeah, sign me up. That sounds like fun." And actually, it's the volunteer doesn't have to pay for anything. They receive the box. It even has a return address label inside, and they slap that on at the end and tell me I'm mailing my box back, and I can actually have it picked up on their front porch.
They just have to read about the kid, read about the family, write some letters, put it back in the box, and
exactly. And we even send stickers, and they could decorate the envelope with stickers.
Wow.
Like we put everything inside to make it so it's. You can just enjoy this process and not have to worry about like, oh yeah, I have to go shop for cards. Everything can be in the box. So you check off on the form what things you want us to put inside, and we'll make it happen. So yeah. That's
amazing. Well, sign me up for 10 cards.
That's awesome.
Sign me up for 10 cards.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not in one of the states you don't already have, but that's going to be okay.
Would you like to write in cursive, or do you want to print?
Well, as I was telling you earlier, when I'm journaling, it sometimes goes back and forth between the two. So I actually don't know. But
so
I'll do whichever you ask me.
How about writing to Dad? So would you like to do that?
Oh, I'd be happy to.
That'd be fantastic.
I'd be happy to.
Thank
10
you,
cards, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I had a question that sort of bridges worlds as we come to the end of this, Jennifer, which is, you've lived in the healthcare systems for more weeks than you'd care to probably count. You've seen the systems and the technologies that both you as families and the caregivers have to live with. Is there anything in that bridging world of technologies that could help to personalize and safely expand emotional support for like the kind of things that Sent with Love offers? Is there any way that the hospital systems could, their job is to do the healthcare, and we're very thankful for that, and we've all benefited from those kinds of services, and part of your goal is to support those nurses. But what can the hospitals be doing if they wanted to think about how can we support what you're doing, either through technology or programs or ways to dovetail with what you're doing? I think the way I had it originally written was thinking about the healthcare system more broadly. Do you see any unmet needs for tools or technologies that could help personalize and safely extend emotional support like what Sent with Love offers? Could hospitals and innovators better integrate this kind of care into the patient experience? In other words, you're having to generate all this from the outside in because you get it, but how could those systems reach a little bit. Right now, there's no reach on their part, but if they wanted, we've talked about how those of us on the outside can help to write letters in through you with minimal burden on us.
Right.
But how could hospital systems, if they wanted to support this, what could they do?
Wow. So we were very fortunate that our primary nurses, I felt very seen by them. And in fact, I was fortunate that multiple nurses were strong Christians and even would pray with me. If they saw tears in my eyes, they were definitely going to take time to give me a hug. Because even though I mentioned earlier that our church body, our friends really came around us, we had family members that also did that and, sent care packages from afar to my son and daughter, for instance, like from Colorado. I forgot to mention that earlier. You know how there's buttons on the wall? There's the yellow one and the red one. The red, there's a serious emergency going on. By the way, I hit the red one day because my son walked away he was connected. He wasn't normally connected. He was taking a break from it. They were letting him do that because he was done with chemo, but he was waiting for his counts to come up and he hadn't need any blood products. He forgot he was connected and he went to walk away from his machine and blood went everywhere. It was something. And I didn't know how to stop it, like blood squirting.
Mom hit the red button.
I hit the red button. And later on, one nurse said, "You did the right thing." Another nurse said, "You shouldn't have done that." Because what happens is all the pagers go off saying, critical, stat, stat. So, the whole floor was put on stat, even if they're giving chemo in another room, like everybody, there's stat for just the Rice family. So I was thinking, wouldn't it be amazing to have some sort of device to say, or button you can press, a bracelet or something like that, that you could say, I really could use a hug right now. I'm struggling. And where the nurse who, if she is in a place where she could do that for you, because many of them they make time for it because they are people too, and they hurt too. They hurt when a patient dies. They hurt when a patient has, complications, but they have to do their job. But they really seek to minister to the family on a personal level. So if they could get some form of message to say, this family needs a little more TLC right now, and they have the bandwidth to do it, then that could be just like a way to invite conversation, the relationship. And, when a family signs up, they're inviting relationship. They're giving us personal information. But I guess that's, yeah.
They're pushing the emotional care red button.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe something, I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about that in the future. That's great.
So, yeah.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for what you're doing with Sent with Love. We hope that you can get those writers in all 50 states here by the end of the year. We encourage people to go sign up for a few letters. I'm down for 10. So,
awesome. Thank you so much.
And we'll look forward to that. But thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. This has been a joy and a privilege. And thank you for what you're doing to bring hope into the hospital rooms. You really are making a difference.
Well, thank you. How can people get in touch with you if they want? We talked about the web form for signing up for some of the programs, but how can people get in touch with you, either to chat about what you have on offer, or to fund the efforts that are there?
Well, thank you. Because that is, we talked about pain points at one point, and funding is an important part to make things like this possible, right? To be able to be generous, you need the resources. So especially as we grow. But my son was treated at CS Mott Children's Hospital, and so it's Sent with Love Motts, MOTTS.org is the name of our website. And if you just write in Sent with Love Motts on Google, you'll get all of our pages. If you want to follow me professionally, you could go to LinkedIn. If you want to be on Facebook or Instagram, on our website, it's all right there. So Sent with Love Motts will take you to all of our links online.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to check that out. And Jennifer, thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Gene. What a joy.